Hi there, it's me again, and today we are going to try to sketch a curve like this. And because we're talking about quadratic curve, there are a few things that we need to know. If it's a quadratic curve, it will either have a maximum or a minimum point. So how do we know what kind of point it's got? I mean, whether the curve has a minimum point or a maximum point. We need to remember that a quadratic curve is of the form ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Now, if that value of a is greater than 0, then we have a minimum point. The curve is going to be a U shape like this. Whereas if a is less than 0, the curve will have then a maximum point. It's going to be an inverted U shape. All right, so in our case here, we understand that the coefficient of x squared is 1. So over here, a is equal to 1. So that means a is greater than 0. So our curve is going to look like something like this. Now, to be able to sketch a curve like this, what are the things that we need to know? We need to know where the curve is going to cross the x-axis, where the curve is going to cross the y-axis, and actually the minimum or the maximum point of the curve. So we have three things that we need to know. The roots of the equation, where they cross the x-axis, the y-axis as well, where the curve intercepts the y-axis, and actually the minimum or the maximum point of the curve. Now, it's up to you to actually, if you want to find the minimum point first, I normally try to find the minimum and maximum point first. So I'm going to write this, I'm going to complete the squares here. I'm going to put this in the completed square form. That's the way, one way of actually finding the minimum or the maximum point. In later stages, you could do it by calculus, differentiation. Now we have x squared minus 6x plus 5 is equal to 0. So if we're to complete the squares, we take the coefficient of x, which is minus 6, divided by 2. That's going to become minus 3. Put that in bracket, square the whole thing plus the 5. And then minus that minus 3 to the square. So we have x minus 3 to the square plus 5 minus 9. And that's going to be x minus 3 to the square minus 4. So we have y is equal to all of that. Y is the function itself. So y is equal to minus 4 and x minus 3 is equal to 0. Y is equal to minus 4. So our minimum point turns out to be x is equal to 3. So 3 and then negative 4. So, well, what we're basically saying as well, that the curve has a minimum value of minus 4, and this occurs when x is equal to 3. All right, this is another way of saying what our curve has, whether it has a minimum or a maximum point. The second thing I want to know is, where does it cross the y-axis? I'm going to set x equal to 0. If I do so, I'm going to get y is equal to 0 squared minus 6 times 0 plus 5. So that means y is equal to 5. It's going to cross the x-axis at 0, 5. I mean the y-axis at 0, 5. Then I want to solve the equation. So I'm going to solve x squared minus 6x plus 5 is equal to 0. So you just need to open two factors. Look at the product. The product of this of the root is 5 here. So 5 times 1 is 5. And basically the sum should be minus 6. So this is minus 1 minus 5 becomes minus 6. We have x is equal to 1 and x is equal to 5. So three things like I mentioned before: the minimum point, where it crosses the y-axis, as well as the x-axis. So now we're going to try and just sketch our graph. So this is not accurate, so bear with me. We know it's going to cross the x-axis 1 and 4. So let's say 1 is somewhere here. 2, 3, 4, 1 and 5. 5, okay? So here we are. It's going to cross the y-axis at 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have a minimum point, and the minimum point turns out to be 3 minus 4. Okay, so let's say minus 4 is somewhere here, and minimum point is 3, negative 4. So we're looking at the minimum point over here. And it crosses at 1 here, the x-axis, and the x-axis again at 5. So we can have a curve that goes like this. Come up to this thing. Let's say something like this. All right, and the curve goes up, and it's going to go all the way until it crosses the. Okay, just having some hard time here with this. So why don't we just squeaky? So let me just try and do this as best as I can here. So here we are. So this is how our curve is going to look like, I mean, roughly speaking. So here we are. I hope you've been able to learn something there, especially when it comes to sketching of a quadratic curve. All right, take care.